G'day everybody, it's James here from Lockouts Lockpicking. Hope you're all doing well. Pinkbox, doing some hacking, but as always, keeping it bloody legal. Today I wanted to talk to you about Digi locks, or this digital lock here. This is a Lockwood Digital DX. Now, these are quite common. They're used quite a lot. I come across them very often down the street. I see them on a lot of buildings. And these allow people to gain access into buildings without the use of a key to unlock the lock. So, for example, one of the old restaurants I was at had one of these on the door. And we had a code that we would type in to gain access into the building when I was the sous chef there. So, you know, it allows a lot of people without everyone having keys or keys getting lost and stuff like that. Now, these have a couple of weaknesses. One being, and if you know me, one of my favourite forms of attack is latch slipping. And these use a spring-loaded latch. So if our door isn't fitted correctly, or it's not using the correct hardware, the guard bolt plunger isn't pushed in, stopping that latch from being able to be depressed. You know, if this isn't right, installed correctly, well, we can take something such as a Viking Slim Jim band, which is available on delp.com.au or now on Red Team Tools, and we can depress that latch and gain access into the building. The second method, which isn't another one we're actually going to cover today, but is another method, is where you would take a specialised tool called the Digi bypass tool, go in behind the rubber seal here, go in and attack the spindle in between the front handle and the back handle, because on the back of these, it is able to be turned to depress that latch, whereas on the front, you need the actual combination, which means that a Digi bypass tool can go through, hook onto the rod that runs between the front handle and the back handle of the spindle, and you can retract that latch by twisting it and pulling that latch in. But we're not going to cover that today. We're going to cover another method used to gain access. Now, it is not a surefire way. It is not the best method, but it is a weakness that you can actually learn and teach yourself and get better at the more you practice it to gain access into these types of locks. And that is by decoding them. Now, you can go through and you can try every possible combination. The good thing about these locks is the fact that you can't use the same number more than once, so that limits the amount of combinations you can put in. You don't have to have the correct sequence. For example, if the combination was 1, 2, 3, 4 as a way to gain access into this lock here, it don't matter if you type in 1, 2, 3, 4, or if you typed in 4, 3, 2, 1, or 1, 4, 2, 3, or 3, 1, 2, 4. Don't matter what order you put the numbers in, as long as it's the correct numbers, you can gain access into the lock, which again lowers the amount of combinations that you would have to put in. But we have 10 numbers and 3 letters, because the C isn't actually a part of the combination. That is clear. So if you type in the wrong code and it's not going to open, you can actually press clear and you'll hear it clear it and reset it. Now, so how do we go about actually decoding these? Well, as I said, it's not a perfect method. It's not the best method, but she works once you get a little bit proficient and you practice at it. And how you do it is you use the handle on the front and you add quite a bit of turning force, because you want to add tension onto these buttons. Now, it doesn't work for all these locks. Another good way of decoding is sometimes they leave dirty fingerprints and dirty marks on the buttons, or shiny ones that get used the most. Where on the buttons that gets used the most. So you can actually kind of tell on a lot of these, if they don't clean them or they've been used for quite a long time, the same combination, you can kind of decode what it is visually. But let's say we don't have any of that. Well, you add tension quite a lot, and then you go through and you feel the buttons, and you feel which ones are going to give you less feedback. So, for example, I add tension and I go through and I feel, and one it kind of gives. I can feel it. It's quite springy. It gives feedback. You know, I can kind of feel. Same as 6. I can kind of push that in a bit there. 2's the same. Okay, 7 feels completely different to the others. The others feel kind of springy, whereas 7 feels dead. So I'm actually going to press in on 7, and I'm going to add tension again. And as you can see, the others still feel the same, but 7 can now be fully depressed. And that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to go through. Okay, so 3 feels dead. And each time I feel like the correct number, or what I'm thinking is the correct number, I'm going to let go, press the number in, turn the handle again, go through and feel. And I'll work my way down. Okay, 0 feels dead. And we have an open, as you can see there. So you can go through and you can kind of feel, they don't feel the same as the others. The others feel quite springy. It's kind of like, the best way to describe it is when you're picking a lock and you feel for a binding pin. You kind of feel for a pin that it's more dead. The others feel springy. You can feel like you can push them down a little bit further. I don't mean like a whole lot. That's what I mean. It takes time to practice this and learn. I don't mean like you can push it down a whole lot more, but the ones that aren't the correct combination feel a little bit more springy. The other ones just feel dead. So you kind of push it there. It gives more resistance, and it just doesn't feel like the other buttons. You feel for the odd one out. And that is a good way of going through and decoding these locks. And now I actually glad I can remember the code for this one, and I might have to change it again, or I'll probably forget by the time I do another class where I actually teach and get people to decode these, or have a go at decoding. So, you know, you feel, go through and you feel. For example, I'll try and show you these top buttons here. So that would be the amount of movement on a non-active button, like the not the correct code. And the actual correct code one would be more like that. So it's a lot. So that would be normal. You could be more springiness. The other one would be more dead, if that makes sense. So it's really hard to try and describe, but you just have to go through and learn that whole. It feels more dead. It just doesn't feel the same as the other buttons. This feels completely dead, and then you can just press that one. But anyway, there we go, the Lockwood Digital DX. So very common locks you would come across. I see them quite often here. A couple of weaknesses, but learning how to decode these is a great skill to learn, and a lot of fun to actually have a go at as well. So that's today's video. If you like what you see, please hit that thumbs up. Really do appreciate it. Don't forget to check out delp.com.au. Check out all links in the description down below. Hit that thumbs up, hit that notification bell and the subscribe button. Remember to keep it bloody legal. And until next time, cheers guys. And if you get your hands on one of these and you can purchase one, have a go at learning to decode. It's a new skill that you can use for pen testing, locksmiths, and have a bit of fun. So, but as always, keep it bloody legal. So till next time, cheers guys.